You know, we were in high school. We all knew some guy who fucked up and took too much LSD. You know, I mean, imagine in the 50s, man. From the 50s to the 60s. What a giant transition that was.
Just right after the 40s, right after that sweet Hoffman made that wonderful experiment in the laboratory and it exploded into culture. And then before the CIA could start trying to beat it back into the bottle, like, oh, fuck, we got to get this shit back in there. People are growing beards. Nobody wants to fight. But before that could happen, when it was just billowing out and just Ginsburg was giving speeches in front of just thousands and thousands of people, not Justin Bieber singing about bullshit, but some bearded gay dude reading poetry in front of thousands and thousands and thousands of people on acid, and Timothy Leary doing experiments with Ram Dass, and it was just this incredible moment. And then the fucking CIA got involved and the government got involved, and all of a sudden that's when they started pumping shit into the zeitgeist, where it's like, oh yeah, smoking pot, makes you lazy. LSD will drive you insane. Mushrooms, that's what communists eat. Who knows what it all is, but...
you're saying they did this through, what, newspaper articles?
Through the Reagan administration. Look at what the Reagans did. Now it's 10 years after. It was like it took some time, but this is your brain. This is your brain on drugs. It's like, oh, really?
So you think that like the sweeping act of the 1970s psychedelics, when they made everything, whatever the act was that made LSD, mushrooms, made all that stuff Schedule 1.
Yeah.
So clearly that was because they saw there was a big culture shift. That was a culture shift decision, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, because you can't. You cannot successfully pull off the level of conditioning that is omnipresent in this country or in any tyranny if people are taking psychedelics where they're communicating with some higher intelligence, whatever you want to call it, plugging into the plenum, merging.
Or even accelerating your mind to a higher frequency. That's the other argument. That maybe you're not taking in an alien intelligence when you consume a psychedelic, but you're just pumping your own brain up. Like, it's like taking caffeine. Does that give you a super intelligence? No, it just makes you accelerate. It makes you more. You have more, you get amped up.
If you're on a
so it could be that.
Imagine taking a powerful psychedelic and sitting down on your couch to watch your nightly Fox News. And while on a psychedelic, you see a Fox News reporter talk about someone who won the Medal of Honor, and the Fox News reporter says, he died fighting for our freedoms in Afghanistan. Now, maybe if you're just some deluded alcoholic redneck in a trailer and somebody says somebody died fighting for our freedoms, already freedom is a very mysterious word, but someone's fighting for our freedoms in Afghanistan, maybe you can hear that and be like, God damn it, I don't know how our freedom got to Afghanistan, but someone needs to protect it over there. But if you're on a psychedelic and you hear someone say that, you're going to be like, wait, hold on, what the fuck is freedom? What is freedom? Is that something you can even really fight for? And Afghanistan, wait, terrorists are supposed to be in Afghanistan? You mean that's the only place you can plan terrorist attacks is in the rugged country of Afghanistan? You can't do that in China, Japan, Europe, France, any place where there's a hotel room with an internet connection? Are you serious that we have to be over there fighting some Cobra Commander when in any part of the grid you can eat just a 12-year-old with some fucking matches can do some pretty heavy damage to the infrastructure, man? Are you seriously expecting me to believe that soldiers are somehow in Afghanistan fighting off some kind of imminent threat that isn't anywhere else? Because if I was a terrorist and there were a shitload of American-trained death machines in my country and I wanted to plan a terrorist attack without getting interrupted by machine gun fire, I'd probably just head somewhere else. Just get on a bus and go somewhere where I'm not going to get shot at while I plan my nuclear attack on the New York subway system.
You're so emotional right now.
I'm sorry. I'm moving.
Sarah Palin gave a speech. Sarah Palin gave a speech recently, and in the speech she was talking about Pat Tillman because she was like in Pat Tillman's town. She was talking about Pat Tillman sacrificing his life for our freedom. And, and she actually quoted that in a speech. And it's like, it's really well known. Two things. One, that Pat Tillman was extremely disenchanted with the military once he got in it and realized how disorganized it was, how fucking chaotic and fucked up it was, to the point where some people on the internet speculated that they even killed him on purpose because he was talking too much. That's probably wacko talk. But it's just the fact that he was very vocal about it. And the second thing being, he was killed by friendly fire. He was not killed defending the enemy, and they tried to lie about it. And they tried to lie about it for a long time. And it eventually got out that he was killed by friendly fire. But they tried to make it seem like he died in this heroic attack. He was killed by an American in a clusterfuck.
Fighting for freedom.
It's a clusterfuck, man. These poor fucking kids, man.
Yes.
Could you imagine being 18, 19, being talked into doing this shit for a bunch of bloodthirsty motherfuckers who just are trying to get whatever they're trying to get over there, whatever the fuck it is, whether it's lithium, whether it's, minerals in the mountains that they use to make cell phones, whether it's 90% plus of the world's opium supply.
Yeah.
90% I mean, god damn it. Heroin is absolutely addictive, okay?
Yep.
People who try heroin get hooked. Heroin is everywhere, okay? So you need to sell it. Someone's selling it. Who's selling it? I don't know, but 90% of it comes from this one place where we have to be to save our freedoms.
Yeah.
Like, really? What the fuck, man?
Yeah, what the fuck? And that's the thing, man. And that's what's so frustrating.
And it's not, here's the thing. I just want to say this. You can't criticize it, because if you criticize it, you're a shithead. You don't appreciate the troops and what they're doing for you, and that's not the case at all. No. I just don't like the idea of these fucking people leading us in any direction where you need to sacrifice your life. Well, I don't believe it. I don't believe them.
Every time I meet anyone who's been in the military, they're authentically fucking good people. I have yet to run into someone.
You know why? Because they're warriors, and warriors have discipline, and the things that they go through. I feel the same way. Most military guys that I know are cool as fuck.
Yeah.
It's because first of all, they get broken down in training. You go through once you go through all the fucking physical rigors of basic training.
Yeah.
That's brutal to the average person. And then you become a part of a group that has a code, and you feel honored to be there, and it just elevates you as a human being.
Yeah.
It elevates them together. It removes a lot of your ego. There's a lot of like the regimen and the discipline that they develop. They can apply that to the rest of their life like very easy.
That is why it becomes incredibly infuriating when you realize that
they're being used against.
They're getting dropped in a meat grinder
for no reason.
What? For no
bullshit.
Fucking reason.
Exactly.
You're dropping like some of the coolest, most fascinating, bravest, heroic people in a fucking meat grinder so the military-industrial complex can sustain itself on their blood.
Right. When there's been so many fucking lies. I mean, the more you look it up, the more. I mean, go into any of the stories on the weapons of mass destruction before we invaded and compare them to what we actually know that they really knew when they said that. It's like they did it on purpose. They wanted to get in there for whatever fucking reason.
Yeah.
And if it's some crazy, the world is going to end if we don't stop this, but we can't tell you shit, like, I would love to believe you.
Yeah,
I would love to. I would love to believe that the reason why you're not telling us exactly what the fuck is going on is because you're really protecting us from some insanely evil thing that if we knew about it, society would collapse. But our strong, brave, powerful leaders are going to guide us without our knowledge. I would love to believe you. If you weren't all full of shit, if you weren't all getting busted left and right, cheating on your wives, stealing money,
jerking off on babies at the Bohemian Grove while you worship the owl god Moloch.
You do that too?
Whoa. Having gay sex. I mean, how many of these fucking guys in the Bush administration were gay? How many of them? There was a ton of them. You know how you know? Because there was a guy who was an embedded reporter named Jeff Gannon.
Right.
And Jeff Gannon ran a website that was all dedicated to gay, military men. It was like military studs with they'd have dog tags on and a little towel over their cock, and it was like a gay escort service. And this fucking guy was running it, and he was an embedded reporter. He was in the White House, throwing all these lob questions at the president, like, when are these Democrats going to come to their senses, sir? Like what kind of a fucking question is that? That kind of shit. Meanwhile, it was just sucking cock, slept in the fucking White House on at least one occasion.
Sure.
Like, what the